Morning. Today I want to talk to you about the first 2 minutes of your speech, the first 2 minutes of your talk. I attend a lot of conferences. I speak at many of them. And when you speak at a conference, one of the things you get to do is to sit and listen to several other people who speak. And I noticed the same dynamic, the same trend across several presenters. And it all comes down to the first minute or two of the opening. And when you're looking at that opening, right, you're asking yourself, am I prepared? Am I ready to get engaged by the person who's about to speak? And so the first minute or two are particularly important in terms of capturing my attention. So what I want to do is walk you through two samples of how to start, right? And this is both are related to a talk I often give. I'm going to walk you through how I hear it more oftenly done and how I do it, and that way I can highlight the difference between the two. So here's the first. This is what I normally hear when I sit down and listen to someone start their opening of their presentation. Hi there. My name is Chris Thama. I work as the Vice President of Software Engineering at a company called Emphasis Software. It's a company you may not have heard, but we build enterprise software and particularly target vertical markets, very niche and specific markets. I've been there for 8 years, and over the last 20 years, I've been developing expertise around managing people and getting them to deliver at a high performance level. And to that end, what I want to do today is walk you through some of the best practices, some of the things that I've noticed when over the course of this time where I've been working with these teams, and I've noticed some of the ways to really help people perform better. Now, there's nothing wrong with that introduction, right? If you were to listen to 8 or 10 of these, however, you would catch that the beginning of everyone's presentation is often about them, right? It's all about, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to highlight who I am, where I work, what I do, how long I've been doing it, and why you should listen to me. This is the idea. It stems from the notion that we have to highlight our expertise to develop credibility, to gain trust, so that someone pays attention. Unfortunately, it's dry. It can sometimes come across as a level of hubris or someone who gets on stage who's prideful simply because they're trying to tell you all their accomplishments. And when a person is telling you themselves all of how awesome they are, it can rub you wrong. Just depends on who you are and how they present it. But more importantly than that, the person who's up there speaking is starting the same way everyone else has spoken. So you've already prepared. Your brain is already prepared. The moment, hi, my name is so-and-so and I work at, and you're checked out. And you don't even control that. Shy of you paying extra focused attention, your brain's already pulling you back because your brain's saying, look, I'm here to protect you. I'm here to keep you alive, but this guy poses no threat. So I can go back to sleep, right? I can go back and pay attention to other things. I don't need to be here. And this is what happens when you start your presentation by introducing yourself and talking about yourself and your history and your background and trying to demonstrate a level of expertise. Now, if you set the Guinness Book of World Records for something, by all means, start that way, right? You could easily see someone who could stand apart from the crowd simply by starting saying, when I was 12, I set the Guinness Book of World Records for blah, blah, blah. Okay, guess what? Everybody's paying attention, right? If you have that kind of credibility, if you want to develop trust at that level because you have some particular skill or experience that really sets you apart from everyone else in a dramatic fashion, and I mean Guinness Book of World Records fashion, right? Then by all means, start that way. It will, it'll cause people to look up and go, whoa. But if all you're going to do is tell us who you are and where you start, where you come from, and your background, most of the audience will have checked out by the time you get ready to talk about the thing that you really care about. So consider instead a different approach, right? And the approach that you're going to see in this next one is I open immediately from a standing silence, right? When I get on stage, I open immediately into a story. I want to take you somewhere. I want you to sit in exactly a place that I want to put you in. And I want you to realize, in fact, your brain gets triggered this way when you realize, oh, he's in the middle of a story. Like, did I miss something? Oh, wait, what's going on? Where's it? And your brain perks up. It automatically pays attention, right? And it gets to the heart of the material that I want to present. So I'll get on stage and I'll be quiet. And here's the second rendition. His name is Yogendra. He was one of the spec warfare guys of the Indian Army. And he and his crew were standing at the base of a 16,000-foot cliff before the sun had even come up. They were there because it was the beginning. Their team was the first foray into the Battle of Tiger Hill. And looking up at 16,000 vertical feet of ice, someone on the team had to climb it and put the rigging into the face of this cliff so the rest of the team could climb up. Yogendra was the guy who volunteered. Yogendra stepped up, or maybe the rest of the team stepped back. I don't know exactly how it played out, but he was the one to start free climbing up that cliff. I know developers, I know designers who want to pat themselves on the back for simply, or want someone else to pat them on the back for simply volunteering for a hard job. But you don't celebrate volunteering because you're not done. You are at the very beginning of something. You don't celebrate at that point. You celebrate when you're done. Well, Yogendra starts climbing up the hill. Halfway up, the guys at the top start shooting down. In fact, his commander was right next to him. His commander gets shot and killed. Yogendra gets shot 3 times, the shoulder, the hip, the leg. And he still climbs. And I know designers and developers who, upon getting their first taste of pain at work, you know, that harsh conversation, the phone call with a client that berates you, they want thanks, they want an award, they want to celebrate, they want time off because, man, that was a rough call. But we don't celebrate a little bit of pain. We don't celebrate it at all because we're not done yet, right? Yogendra doesn't start patting himself on the back. He still hasn't gotten to the top of that hill. I go on to tell the rest of that story. The story is not the most important part of it. What's important is the fact that as I start telling the story, as I start saying, there Yogendra finds himself at the bottom of the hill before the sun has even come up, people immediately are looking around going, oh, we started. Like the presentation has started. He's midway in the story, and they immediately pay attention. There's an alertness that you can't even control. It's your brain driving it towards what's going on, what just happened. There was a sharp transition. There was a high contrast between nothing and something that I need to pay attention to. The first 2 minutes of someone's presentation are the best 2 minutes that your brain will ever pay attention to. The brain, like I said, is worried about whether or not you need to, what you need to know to survive. And to that end, right, at the very beginning of a talk and at the end, as you start preparing to wind down, your brain starts prepping for paying attention again. And in between, it goes to bed because it discovered that you're not a threat. The net result is you want a lot of starts and stops. You want a lot of contrast. But most importantly, when you go up on stage, especially at a conference where you're going to have, 8, 9 other presenters before and after you, you don't want to start the same way everyone else starts. Because if you do, no matter what your credentials are, right, the reality is the audience's brain's just going to shut down. And I don't want to see that happen. So that's how to spend the first couple minutes of your opening presentation.